You ever see a post on social media where they say, send in your questions and we'll read some of them? Well, not here. We'll break it down with Brian H. I asked the question, you sent the answers, and I'm reading everybody's posts on how they would fix Monday Night Raw.
No, baby, that's for somebody else. We're just going to keep you right where you're at right now.
It doesn't matter what you think.
The Wrestling Realm presents Break It Down with Brian H.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Break It Down with Brian H. I'm your host, Brian H. Waters. This show brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. Make sure you subscribe to our channels on YouTube, Podbean, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, you name it, we're there. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you check out all the content. And guess what? Monday Night Raw, folks. It was so bad this week that even Brian H. Waters is complaining. You know, I usually don't really complain. You know, I might say, okay, I don't like it, but I really sat there and I watched the show and I said, what would I do to fix this? You know, and I'll reveal that later. But it got me to that point, and I was just like, this is bad. And I don't think in the years, with 25 years of Monday Night Raw, it's ever been this bad. I mean, it just seems like it's been a repeat of every show. Every week, it's the same thing. Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. Seth Rollins versus Dolph Ziggler. Baron Corbin versus Finn Balor. Baron Corbin says, you're going to follow my rules. People say, we're not going to follow your rules. I just didn't like it. I said, ugh. So, this week, I said, you know what? I'm going to ask the people. I put it out there on Facebook.com/The Wrestling Realm and on Twitter.com/Wrestling Realm. If you could fix Monday Night Raw, what would you do? So I have a lot of responses. So guess what? Without further ado, I'm going to jump right into them. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to read all of them. Some of them I will say agree, disagree. Maybe I'll do this. Maybe I wouldn't. And, you know. So let's get right into it. So, Repair and Raw. We start off with TJ Jeff Driscoll fan account on Twitter at RKO1814. He says, hit the reset button for all titles, hold a tournament, decide the next number one contenders, stop the comedy for a while and get serious. These wrestlers are supposed to be focused on winning titles, making money, and being legendary. Tone down the stage and lighting, more grit. So the only problem I have with hitting the reset button is it brings you back to WCW, where it was clear that Vince Russo just admitted, like, this is bad. So I probably wouldn't go that far because it's not as bad as it is. It's not that WCW bad where you need to hit a reset button, you know, because to me that was just terrible. It was breaking the fourth wall. So I wouldn't go that far, but I definitely understand with getting the superstars to be more focused on the titles. Then we have Gerson Blanco. Put the strap on someone who is on Raw more. Put Bobby Roode as a single competitor. Finn, Rollins, and Dolph would be an awesome triangle for the title. So I can understand that. You know, I'm definitely with Bobby Roode being a single competitor. I would even say I want to see Bobby Roode as a heel, and you'll probably see his name come up multiple times on this show. As far as the title picture, Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Dolph Ziggler, I think that would be great if it's presented right, you know. But I'm also looking at, you know, your Drew McIntyres and your Bobby Lashley's. So let's move on. Daryl Rushing II. If they keep the belt on Brock, which I get, bring back more titles since they use Starrcade, bring back the TV title. I think the TV title would be pretty cool. You have a 3-hour show, and you could focus on that's the title that's defended on television every week. And let's be, I don't know, I don't see Brock going, he went 500 plus days. I just don't see him going 500 days this go around. I could be wrong. Let's move it on. Ernie Bailey. This is all on Facebook right here. Ernie Bailey. Have legitimate tag teams hold the title and make feuds mean more than just one and done. Also, someone has to help Finn out. Bring back the Demon. Absolutely. I'm with that at this point. Bring back the Demon Balor. But, he's doing the Balors for everyone. So I'm not sure really. Well, he did go the Demon at SummerSlam. So, yeah, I agree with that. And I'm definitely with legitimate tag team feuds. Legitimate tag team titles, and the feuds mean more than one and done. Definitely agree right there. My boy Kevin Crittenden, and Kevin, I apologize if I said your name wrong. He's got 5 points here. 2 hours. Agree. Rotate the unused talent getting paid for months in catering to be on TV, so it's a bigger deal when we see the big stars. I agree with that. Quit with the heel GM. You're gonna see that come up a lot. Stop having the same matches every single week, something I said on earlier. And more importantly, make Raw must-see TV again. Literally, I go to the Raw results and see the same thing over and over again. There's no incentive to watch. I agree. I would like to see some of the unused talent. That's the reason Raw has more people, right? So why aren't we seeing more guys compete, And I don't want to see them as jobbers each and every week. One of the things, when you go on the WWE Network and you watch some of them old Monday Night Raws, you see everybody had a story. Bruce Pritchard talks about that was one of the benefits for Vince Russo. Everybody had to have a story. I was watching something from February 99, and I was invested in Hardcore Holly and Al Snow because everything mattered. Moving on, let's go back to Twitter at Carl_Bug with BUGG. Let Triple H run it like he does in NXT. Triple H runs it like a wrestling show, old school wrestling. We gotta have some entertainment in there, and I know we have that entertainment on Raw, so I would be interested to see how that would look. Allegedly, that's what we're going to get in the future, so who knows? My boys over at the Big Gold Belt podcast at BGB Group start Raw with an exciting and high energy match, not a 15-minute promo, and cut back on authority figures dominating 1/3 of the show. I agree. Now, I'm not one who hates the promos all the time. I remember growing up watching Raw with my grandmother, and my grandmother loved WCW. This is during the Monday Night Wars towards the end. We're talking 99, 2000, where Raw was clearly dominated. But the reason why she loved WCW, her reason was always, with WCW, I get wrestling. I don't have to hear Stone Cold and The Rock talk that Rudy Poo all night. So that was her reason. So, but I get that, and definitely, authority figures dominate on 1/3 of the show. It gets annoying when it's not done right. When Vince was there, it was different. And, he's obviously one of the best, if not the best ever authority figure on television. Jamal Henry Barling. Hope I said that right. New GM of Raw and make Finn your top guy. I'm interested, Jamal. What would have happened? We'll never know. What would have happened? Because Finn, clearly they were going to go with this guy. He was the first Universal Champion. I always wonder what would have happened. Because I would admit, I was not rooting for him to win that title. I was rooting for Seth Rollins. I was thinking Seth Rollins, we saw what he was as a WWE Champion. He was back from injury. They did the brand split. I ain't like those green pants. I believe it was highlighter green pants he had on that SummerSlam. But, I was wondering, what were they going to do? Unfortunately, we just don't know. But maybe there's still time to make him a top guy. Who knows? So, shout out to my boy D from the Flex Zone. Make sure you check out their show each and every week. D says Raw needs to go back to 2 hours. Also, talent input need to be involved. Too much goofiness. Goofiness. Make sure you check out the Flex Zone. One of his co-hosts, Cravante, does the goofies of the week in the world of sports. So, Yeah, I would like to see more talent input involved. I want to see the talents take control of their characters. When I look at a guy like Daniel Bryan, you hear about him taking control of his character, say he wants to be heel. When I look at The Miz, we know about talking smack, and we heard that Miz said they had nothing for him. It was a total shoot. So I would like to see what would happen. Moving on, Junior Carbuckle at Pissed Melina fan. He says fire writers and rehire Melina. That's interesting. I don't know if that would fix Monday Night Raw, to be honest with you. But, I mean, I wouldn't be mad to see Melina back. I'd probably rather see her on SmackDown, I feel like I saw more Melina on SmackDown anyway. I know she was on Monday Night Raw, but I feel like most of her moments, and I could be wrong, but I feel like more of them was on SmackDown. So, at NEB-Ball Mike, Steph off camera, Sasha chasing Ronda for gold. Man. So, I know some people don't like Steph. I love Stephanie McMahon. I don't need to see her each and every segment, but I love her. Sasha chasing Ronda for the gold, man. I don't know. I gotta believe it. I'll be honest with you. I don't believe Sasha would beat Ronda in a fight. And you might say, well, who can? But the way Becky Lynch is being presented right now, I believe she can go toe-to-toe with her in a fight. What I saw out of Charlotte, I believe she can go toe-to-toe with her in a fight. So, moving on. Josh Summers, bring the Universal title back to TV, 2 to 2.5 hours, rotate talent out by cutting promo time to have 6 matches at least, remove Corbin of GM status, and bring product to WWE Network to allow more mature content than PG nonsense. Well, as a parent and being old, I understand why it's PG. You're not going to take Raw to WWE Network because USA is paying big money, and we got to remember the wrestling business is a business. So when you have a business, you definitely want to get the most for your dollar amount, and USA is where they're going to get the most for their dollar amount. Definitely agree with cutting the promo time and the 6 matches. I gotta double check because I do think we might get around that 6 match mark. Maybe not this past week, but definitely think we get around there. And yeah, I anybody who knows, if this is your first time listening, I'm a big proponent of bringing the Universal title to TV every week. But I kind of got settled, and I will say this. Ever since Roman Reigns has been sidelined, Raw has not been good. Let's be real. But that's unfortunate. Obviously, prayers go out to him, and I'm definitely not because of the wrestling, but because he is a man, and he is a father and a husband. I pray that he's back and better than ever before, even if he never wrestles again. So moving on, we have Sigon Man Beast Adekon. Forgive me if I pronounce it wrong. Better utilization of the roster. Solid top card, solid mid card, solid women, solid tag team, complete storylines, and better payoff for feuds. Yep, we echo that statement. Ryan Lewis at Ry Lewis 859. Stop the brand split or shake it up by doing major changes to both divisions. Anything has to be better than this mess. I agree. I'll say this about the brand split, though. I do think the brand split is important, but what we need is to stop the joint pay-per-views. The real Dwayne Allen and I talk about this all the time. The joint pay-per-views are bad. Now, what I would do, if WWE doesn't want to have, almost 20 pay-per-views in a year, or maybe it was about, 15, 17, something like that. If you don't want to have that many pay-per-views in a year, go back to a time where, say, January, you had both. February was SmackDown. March, both. February, March. April, Backlash. April, Raw. May, SmackDown. Go back to that. Alternate the months. But we need to kill the joint pay-per-views in order to see all of the wrestlers involved in major storylines. When is the last time Shelton Benjamin's been on a pay-per-view? Or look at a guy like Andrade Cien Almas, a guy who's on the come-up. Shinsuke Nakamura's the United States champion, and I can't off the top of my head, well, besides Survivor Series, tell you the last time he was in a meaningful match. So, let's move on to Alex Rodriguez at A-Rod 0034. Whoever was writing SmackDown in 2016, have him write Raw. Or her, I'll say. My boy The Shark, Sean Williams. You can check out his show on Podbean and YouTube, The Shark Attack. Enough with heel authority figures. Corbin has gotten stale and predictable. Best authority figure in WWE right now, William Regal, because he's neutral. I gotta agree. Nobody's really said that right there. And I have to agree with The Shark. A neutral authority figure. Now, I don't dislike Paige, but that's the reason, because she's neutral. Shane McMahon, face, but he was neutral, but he did let his emotions, and it made sense. That's what I liked about Shane, because you didn't really see him get involved until Kevin Owens kind of got a little funky with Vince McMahon, and then that made it personal. So that's what I want to see. Moving on, talking about pod over. Make sure you check out the Talking About Wrestling podcast on SoundCloud and Podbean and iTunes. My boy Terrence and Satch over there. I'm not sure which one of the gentlemen wrote this question, but maybe here we go. It's probably Terrence, because he likes to use the word overproducing. So first thing is to stop overproducing every backstage promo. Give two people a concept that you need to get across and let them improv. The conversations will seem a lot more natural that way. I 100% agree. I think that's the thing we loved about the Attitude Era and even WCW. Let's not forget that. Eric Bischoff said it recently on the 83 Weeks podcast when he talked about his first arrival to WWE, how he had to read line by line and memorize it, and he couldn't go off script, couldn't improvise. Improv. He said in WCW he knew the points he had to get across, and he did it. That's what makes the promos better. I'm invested when I just hear it, because it's natural. These, they go to enough acting classes. I'm pretty sure they got promo classes, for goodness sake. So you mean to tell me you have to take a promo class to read a script? They have some of the best training. Let them go out there, give them a mic, and let them go. So I agree. Definitely the conversations would seem more natural. Let's move on. At Mikey Valex, that's Mike Valex on Mike Valex 1 on Twitter. It's too late to fix the show. It's all about sponsors. My guess is it continues to stink. Well, guess what? That's you might not be wrong, but I do think that if sponsors start pulling out, when the ratings start falling, I wouldn't invest my money in something, then maybe there'll be some changes. So who knows? Let's move on. Maryland Guy at Maryland Guy 301. Fire every creative writer to start. Stop holding 20 to 30 minute promos every other match. Make championships mean something. Give pushes to the right people that deserve it and not the handpicked ones, etc. The list could go on for days, literally. Well, I'm not one to know who deserves what and who doesn't, only because I'm not backstage. I'm not seeing who's putting up the ring, who's doing the extra work. I could say who puts on, better matches. Fire every creative writer. It makes you wonder, is it them? Are there a bunch of choir boys? Or are there people who actually, go and fight for their creativity? I hear it's a very thankless job. Obviously, everybody on Twitter today and Facebook has had something to say. So, who knows? And definitely want to make championships mean something. And 20, 30-minute promos. Yeah, they all don't need to be that way. And I know one thing about SmackDown, it's condensed. So because it's condensed, the promos can't be that long, but they still get the points across. Let's move on. At Monday's podcast, make sure you check them out. I would start by hiring women writers for the women's division. I like that idea. I think that there's enough. No, I know just based on Twitter, based on Facebook, YouTube, there's enough intelligent women when it comes to the world of professional wrestling that you could hire some women writers who could write for the division. Less scripted for sure. Literally every promo of Starrcade had the sentence, legends like the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Also, if you don't have a story like current talent, Bray Wyatt, Jinder, Finn Balor, don't bring people up from NXT to do even less with them. Oh, I agree. I've said this a couple weeks ago. There's nobody on NXT I want to see get promoted. Huge fan of Adam Cole. Don't want to see him there. Like Ricochet, Velveteen Dream, which, you listened a couple weeks ago, you heard the real Dwayne Allen's thoughts about him. Bianca Belair, another fan, a huge fan I am. I don't want to see none of them get promoted right now. Not even a SmackDown, just because I'm enjoying the stories, but because I'm limited on pay-per-views, I don't get to see them in meaningful matches on, at Backlash, at TLC. So, let's move on. We have next, at the bitter end WWE. Here's the list. More short pre-tape promos. More in-ring focus. Stop the 3 to 5 minutes matches. Showcase their skill. Now, one of the things is I thought that we were going to get longer matches, but not the 6-man tag matches that usually go in the first half an hour once they make the match right there on the show. I'll say 6-man tag matches aren't as great as they used to be. They're not nothing special, especially if we get the same ones every week. Introduce more characters. Can't continue to showcase the same boring characters, Mahal, Lashley, etc. Give wrestlers a purpose. Ember wins for weeks but has no character. Well, I understand. I understand what you mean. I think she does have an identity. She's showing something different, but what is winning for her done for her character? What is it shown? What does this mean for her? Like, does this mean, okay, I won all these matches, now I deserve a title shot? Stop making feuds about friendship. I think that's their way of trying to get people to feud and buy in, but I agree, every feud doesn't have to be about friendship. Almost a follow-up from the last one. Stop trying to get cheap heat from the audience, especially when the feuds have potential. Dean and Seth. I agree. Moving on to Lee S at Stairs E71. Lose Corbin as GM, no one cares. Lose Ziggler, nobody watches him. Call up to NXT stars. Get Y2J and KO back. Get rid of Ambrose and Lesnar. Let Joe rule. Use Hogan as GM. Well, you won't hear, as an NWO GM, you won't hear me complain about using Hogan as an NWO GM. I think that would be pretty funny. I don't think the masses would like it. Jericho, he seems to be having fun not in the WWE right now. And Kevin Owens is injured, so it's only so much we can do right there. Ziggler,
now, from the Wrealm segment,
where people watch your
questions
his matches,
from the Facebook fan
page. Ziggler, it's the same thing. I'm showing off. I'm the best wrestler. I'm this, that, and the other. We know he can go, but nothing sticks. Nothing makes me say, I gotta see what Dolph Ziggler's going to do this week. And Corbin is GM. A lot of people. That's a very popular statement tonight. And rid of Ambrose as well as Lesnar. Well, we know Lesnar's the moneymaker. First one I see getting rid of Ambrose, though. And I agree, let Joe rule, especially if you watch SmackDown. That promo with Jeff Hardy, which people are saying it was the same as CM Punk. So what? I don't care. It was good. I liked it. So let's move on. At Joey_Slapshot, the captain, Joey Savage. I don't mind the brand split as long as it allows enough space for all the talent and each show to have its own titles. But first thing is fire every creative writer and start fresh. It's nothing but recycle characters over and over. Bring new blood. So here's my thing with that. One of the things, if you look at the job description, it says be familiar with the product. And I think that maybe it's not the creative writer. Maybe it's something deeper than that. Maybe it's to the next level. And I don't want to go as far as like Vince, but maybe it's somewhere in the producers. You know, maybe that's where the issue is. Because we talk about the creative writers, but obviously we know they don't have the final say. Maybe we need somebody from a different perspective who can sign off on these ideas that are constantly getting turned down. Who knows? As Sharma Amit, everything seems too scripted. We want Monday Night Wars era of craziness. Sky Hall, Wolfpack, NWO, etc. I agree. You don't have to go all the way back to the Monday Night Wars. You can just go back to, the days when, let's just think about when the Shield reunited and everybody was like kind of picking up the phone, calling people, or just the Yes movement when that's what we need. Something to get people emotionally invested. I'll even go as far as people might be surprised, the CM Punk pipe bomb. You picked up the phone and called your friend, if you were a wrestler fan, or you jumped on social media because you were surprised, one, that he mentioned John Laurinaitis' name on television. That was something you didn't do at the time, but you was just surprised. Moving on. Johnny Blaze at Official Wolfpack. More matches, less skits. It's a wrestling show, not a goddamn soap opera. Well, it's a male soap opera. That's what, let's be real. We tune in to wrestling because it's WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment. The key word is entertainment. Larry Carter at Smash Mouth 2019. Listen to the fans and change creative and bring pyro. Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing pyro again, but I think that might be a health thing, maybe. I don't know. Let's move on. Kenny Jones at Jericho Kenny. Fire everyone associated now with Raw, even Kevin Dunn. Fire Cole. Hire Morrow and Nigel. Make them the voice of Raw and WWE. Turn over everything to Triple H and Shawn Michaels. Well, wow, that's deep. Just think about, Bischoff was talking about Kevin Dunn and saying like some of the stuff that he just has an eye for, or, he just knows how to do right. So I'm not sure I don't know. He's put a lot of great touches on his WWE product. And Michael Cole, I'm a huge fan of Michael Cole, always have been. Michael Cole got us through 19 Ross was gone. That was a hard shoe to fill, and I don't think he's doing a bad job. Some people may think so, but I just don't. Moving on. Bob at CB Buff 22. 1, Finn wins the Universal Championship. 2, AJ Styles and Orton traded to Raw for Strowman and Corbin. 3, respect tag divisions. 4, build AJ versus Finn for Mania. 5, build Orton versus McIntyre for Mania. All right, here's one thing. Here's what we're not going to do, and that's not going to remove AJ Styles from the house that he built. You got AJ Styles. You have a gold medal with AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan right now. Why would you mess that up? I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind the change of seeing Finn Balor as Universal Champion. Definitely respect the tag divisions. I mean, you have AOP as champions. Then you got Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, which, and then you have the Revival just hanging out. So, who knows? And I wouldn't mind seeing Orton traded to Raw, but who knows? Maybe he don't want to. All right, let's move on. Dylan Coffin at Dylan_Coffee. I would call USA Network and ask them to cancel the next year of shows. That is deep. I'm not sure if I'm gonna have USA Network cancel all the shows, man. Come on now, they got to make this money. So, and then the last question. Let's make sure, because some of these questions are rolling in. That's why you may hear a lot of clicking. So this is it. Rounding off, the last question from at Smoke13. That's the numbers spelled out. Number 1, Bobby Roode heel turn. Number 2, Ronda needs to get Pearl Harbored by someone with charisma. Number 3, let Seth face some faces in his IC Open Challenge. 4, stop repeating the matches. 5, make me hate somebody, anybody. I just don't like people because they bore me. So, the Bobby Roode heel turn, I'm 100% on board with that. I've been saying that for time and time again. Bobby Roode needs to be a heel. It's just, really, why is he a face? He's glorious. I watched him live in Aberdeen, or it's Bel Air, I'm sorry, to the people out Hartford County, Maryland. So I watched him come out there. He was full heel Bobby. And then I watched how he had this one lady go crazy over him in the audience. And it made so much sense. That is heel Bobby. Bobby is a natural heel. And he could be a good face, but build the heel turn first. When he came to NXT, he told everybody how glorious he was, and it just wasn't on his level. That's the Bobby Roode I need to see. So, I'm going to go ahead and take a quick break. I'll be back, but make sure you check out this word from my boy over at the Big Gold Belt Podcast.
Yo, this is 2 Chainz of the Big Gold Belt Wrestling Podcast, and you are now listening to Break It Down with Brian H. Waters, brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm.
And I'm back, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you check out the Big Gold Belt Podcast. Just listen to them. They went in one of their, oh my goodness, I forgot the name of the segment, but it's kind of like a hot takes. But they went in on Enzo and Maury, and I thought it was great, every bit of it, because I couldn't disagree. Why is Enzo showing up to WWE pay-per-views? So, Flamin' Hot Topics, that's what it's called, Flamin' Hot Topics. So, let's get right into it. We go back to SmackDown. Let's talk about something positive, the A Show. Tonight, we started off with Becky Lynch, being cleared, she's the man. And her and Charlotte Flair, they had the exchange of words because Paige said, she just, kind of welcomed Becky back. Becky called out Charlotte, said, look, you took care of Ronda Rousey, but you didn't quite do it like I would have. And they would go back and forth. But what was interesting was when Paige made the match for TLC, she said, fine, you two will take on each other in a tables, ladders, and chairs match at the TLC pay-per-view. One of the things she said was that Charlotte was the one person who showed that she wanted it. So I'm sitting there watching this. It's okay. Charlotte showing, wow, that's kind of a spite to the rest of the roster. And apparently I wasn't the only person who felt that way because out comes Mandy Rose. Mandy Rose comes out with Sonya Deville, Zelina Vega, and the Iconics. And basically said, look, any of us could have did that to Ronda Rousey. Don't just try to act like Charlotte's the only person who wants it, So then Naomi comes out and pretty much says the same thing, but she comes out with Carmella, Asuka, and Lana. And Paige said, fine, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a triple threat match at the pay-per-view. And the third competitor would be the person who wins the Battle Royal. Well, the Battle Royal was great. It was last 15 minutes of the show. And, we see a lot of them, but when done right, I don't mind them. This one I didn't mind. Still told a story. One of the biggest things at the end, the final four was Mandy Rose, Sonya Deville, Naomi, and Oscar. Now, if you've been watching, you know that Naomi and Oscar have been teaming up. And obviously, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose are a team. But there's kind of been little seeds here, little nuggets planted, showing Naomi Deville and showing Oscar and Naomi on the same page, but not Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. So that makes you wonder, is there a breakup coming? And then you can't help but wonder, Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels. Let's not forget, some people's opinion, including mine, Marty Jannetty was the better wrestler in the beginning. And a lot of people might not agree, but clearly Shawn Michaels was the best wrestler in the end. So, but, getting back to the show, Sonya Deville Mandy Rose would get eliminated. Then Sonya Deville would eliminate Naomi. And then it got down to those Sonya Deville and Asuka. Now, I'm thinking, okay, are they going to do something where Sonya Deville's cost the match? They didn't. Mandy Rose did try to help her by pulling Asuka, but Asuka fought her off. And Asuka would go ahead and win. We're getting a triple threat match between Asuka, Charlotte, and Becky. Clearly the best three women on the roster. The best three women in as far as SmackDown's concerned. So that's going to be exciting. TLC match, man. I don't even know how you call this one right now. But one of the other nuggets that was kind of planted was Zelina Vega and Lana, because Lana was eliminated, but no, Lana went underneath the ropes. Zelina Vega was eliminated. And then, when she got out there, she started beating up Lana. So I want to see where they're going. I would love to see a good feud. I know they kind of did something a few weeks ago, but I would love to see this continue. Neither one of those women are competing for the women's championship right now. Put them in something meaningful. We've seen this with, obviously Naomi and Oscar going against Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville. So only time will tell. Let's move on. We saw AJ Styles come out there and cut perhaps the biggest face promo, as he pretty much let Daniel Bryan know he's on notice. He doesn't care if the other Daniel Bryan is dead. To him, it's still the same face, and he's going, he's got plans for him. So I'm looking forward to this match, obviously. Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, they're going to tear the house down. So, man, I can't wait. And then, another thing that was funny about that was he was saying, look, this isn't Monday Night Raw. Daniel Bryan didn't show up to the house show, Starrcade, and he didn't show up on SmackDown. He said, I don't know, but we don't do things like that on Raw. He said, when I was champion, I was here every night. So I love how they did that, and they kind of making it about showing up and not showing up. And then we saw Jeff Hardy celebrate 20 years, folks. 20 years of Jeff Hardy in the WWE. Not 20 consecutive years. 20 years since he signed with the WWE. What a career. And then we saw Samoa Joe come out there, and Joe said, you let these people down more than you brought them to their feet. And people are saying, well, it's just like with CM Punk. It's like CM Punk said to Jeff Hardy, it's like Jericho, whatever. This is now. Jim Cornette talks about the 7-year memory. You got 7 years before you do something again. Everybody want to be smart marks. Everybody want to be smarter than the other. But either way, I liked it. I want to see, a good match between these two. And I want to see these two go at it. And, really this could be setting up maybe the number one contender for the WWE Championship. I mean, how cool would it be to see Jeff Hardy versus Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble? Only time will tell. So let's come from the realm after this message from one of my favorite shows, View from the Top Rope.
Diesel here from View from the Top Rope, telling you you're doing exactly what you should be right now, and that is listening to Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by the Wrestling Realm. Now, throwing it back to you, Brian.
From the realm this week, got 2 questions, actually 3 questions from my girl Lauren Ford, which you can follow her at former Valley Girl on Twitter. So let's start off with her first question. When are we getting this 4 horsewomen feud? The back and forth got me really excited. I agree. Not sure when we getting it, to be honest with you. I'm thinking maybe after WrestleMania. I mean, obviously we got Becky getting ready to get back in the ring with Charlotte, so it wouldn't happen right now. But I definitely think we get it sooner than later. But we also got to remember some of the other ladies aren't ready yet, So therefore, it's no rush. Here's something I want to read to you on Twitter, though. I found very funny, and that comes from at Framp. That's FRRAMMP. Please learn the difference between WWE's and UFC's 4 horsewomen. I'll start with that later. UFC's 4 horsewomen. Our friends thought horsewomen was a cool name. WWE's championships changed the game for women in the WWE. Have some of the best matches of all the time. History makers. 17 championships. So, little food for thought right there. And then they say, would they consider a Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte triple threat match? I've been hearing and reading and coming across things on the internet that is the plan for WrestleMania and to possibly main event the show. I think as much as I would love to see Daniel Bryan main event WrestleMania, I have to admit, out of all the years, this is probably the year to do it, if you didn't do it at 32. Even though with WrestleMania 32, you did have Roman Reigns and you had Triple H. That would have been the year with Becky, Charlotte, and Sasha. But I think this is the year to do it with all the women, and Women's Revolution, and with Ronda Rousey, who's main evented a UFC pay-per-view more than one occasion. I think this is the time to do it. And then, the last question. What do you think is going on? Obviously, there are shuffling things to the injury. Like, why can't we get Drew by himself, Lashley by himself? I have so many questions. Well, of course, and this comes after I have posted a tweet at Brian H. Waters. We have waited all day for Rollins versus Ziggler for the 716, 391, 846 millionth time. So, but yeah, so that's where this question comes from. I don't know what's going on. We just had a whole 30 minutes of over 20 responses of people saying how things they would do to fix Raw. That goes to show you that's a problem. Thank you everybody who contributed. But yeah, that goes to show you the problem. I like Lashley though with Leo Rush. Lashley doesn't have has zero charisma. So I like him. And Drew by himself, I agree. I think that's coming. Maybe. I'm not sure if they do that or they do he be coming. He's going to be Universal Champion 2019. I have to say, he will be the champ. And then from view from the top rope, with the WWE clearly pulling the trigger on so many heel turns, let's go opposite. Who do you believe should be turned face? So I had a little bit of time to think about this question. And I'm going to have to go with Adam Cole Baby. Why? Look at him. The guy looks like $1 million. You can put his face all over billboards. When he says Adam Cole Baby, he has the crowd in his hands. We know he's a good heel. But if you watched Adam Cole, which I'm pretty sure the guys from View from the Top Rope did, but if you watched him on the indies, you know he has some of the very best facial expressions. You know that he has the ability to draw sympathy. So that is the reason why I say Adam Cole Baby should be turned face. And I think that if you turn him face and you have the Undisputed Era kick him out, that would draw instant heat. So, but ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate all the response, all of the engagement that we had on social media the past couple of days. And I hope that you continue to listen to the show each and every week. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Hit the subscribe button, drop a 5-star rating, and tell all your friends to check it out. Break It Down with Brian H., brought to you by the Wrestling Wrealm, is a show of superior wrestling intellect. And it's a show that each and everybody can listen to, whether they're by themselves or with their friends. So until the next time, folks, I'm Brian H. Waters. So long, everybody.